Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see Viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
Well, here's our pissy girl Rhino Viper. Let's see how pissy she is, because today is feeding day. Whoa! Okay, the reason why they do that is because when the animal struggles, they want to get its feet off the ground until the venom takes effect. But from looks where she stuck those big long fangs, that's a hell of a double chest wound. I'm sure she punctured vital organs, so whether there was venom or not, I don't think that animal would struggle very long. So let's see if she's will eat while we're here. Are you still spicy, or are you still thinking about being non-spicy? Our friend there, the Russell's Viper. It's unusual to have her sort of out of her log. You know, someone commented, well, I would be pissy too in a small cage. Well, Rhino Vipers don't have a big range. They're ambush predators. They just sit like a lump until something wanders by. So she doesn't need a whole lot of space. You're going to start eating? Or are you just going to stare at us? Interesting story about this Rhino Viper. I was very enthusiastic when she arrived as a baby because she came from the country in West Africa called Benin, and my daughter taught English and math to the native Beninians during her 2-year stint in the Peace Corps. Unfortunately, she never saw a snake while there, and well, somewhat fortunately. She did have a big fat-tailed scorpion drop from the ledge outside her door onto her hat and then to the ground, but that was the only encounter with the venomous critter that she had. And occasionally there were scorpions in the house and stuff, in her apartment. So we decided that we're okay, we're going to eat. Look at those big nasal horns she has. She is not the prettiest Rhino Viper I've had in my collection, but I think she certainly has some of the biggest nasal horns of the whole bunch.
And very impressive fangs.
Yes, and very impressive venom to go with it. There is one fatality in the U.S. on record from a bite from a Rhino Viper. It was, I think, in Wisconsin. They just didn't get the right anti-venom to the person in quick enough time. The venom of Rhino Vipers have cardiotoxins along with the normal hemorrhagens and things like that, and they weren't able to keep the patient stable enough, long enough to get anti-venom. And this is why you should at least keep a stock of a few vials of antivenom as a starter dose for all the different venomous animals you keep, just to buy you some time until you can get a resupply from a local zoo or Venom 1 or some other local zoo. Otherwise, you're really up the creek without a paddle. There's another interesting story about a rhino viper. This was back in the early 2000s when there was a particular vet who was venomoiding venomous snakes. Venomoiding is the surgical removal of the venom gland and duct from the animal, rendering it essentially non-venomous. However, if they don't get the entire gland and the entire duct, they can grow back, and my friend Jim Harrison at the Kentucky Reptile Zoo has extracted venom from supposedly venomoid snakes. So, any rate, the guy, took the rhino viper out of the cage to clean it and left it on the floor, and he took a step back, too far back, and it bit him in the calf muscle, and he wasn't so worried about it because it was venomoid. A few days later, he had a raging infection in the wound, as well as being septic, having blood in your bacteria in your bloodstream, and required hospitalization and a few days of antibiotic. And it probably wasn't any bacteria from the animal's mouth. It was probably just normal strep or staph that got into the wound from his skin, because there's scientific papers that show that the incidence of infection from snake bites here in the U.S. is it's like 1%. So, as a rule, doctors should not give you antibiotics if you're bitten by a venomous snake, or any other snake for that matter. If you do acquire an infection, it's probably because you didn't keep the wound clean. And it's nothing to do with the fauna that's in the snake's mouth. It has to do entirely with your own personal cleanliness and how you care for your wound. Are you happy now? You in a better mood? I will tell you, you should retract your snoot, because I have to shut the door because I've got other animals to feed. Oh, big burp first, huh? We're going to extend the fangs and give everybody a good show? Now, like the other ambush predators that I have, Pink, the rhino viper, the other viperids that just sort of sit around, especially the Bitis. I don't feed them every week. They get fed every 2 to 3 weeks because we want to keep them healthy. We don't want them to get overweight, although it's just the nature of something like a Bitis to get overweight, because they use a lot of that mass to throw themselves around. If you guys, felt the force hitting these tongues, especially with pink strikes, you would swear that it got, hit by a baseball bat. Are you finished? You gonna head bob? You gonna sniffle? You are? You want another? Well, sorry, you can't have another. Yeah. No? Yeah, okay. It's tough to swallow and sniffle at the same time. Is that the deal? All right. I am going to gently close this. Yeah, sorry. I did that as nicely as I could. Okay, so there's a little bit more video of the Rhino Viper in a much better mood than she was the other day. So she will now crawl into her hut, and we won't see her for a few days, which is perfectly okay. She has plenty of fresh water to drink. We'll top that off a little later, but right now we have to feed Mr. Taipan. So Lori will slowly depart the room and get behind me. You may not see a whole lot of this. The whole idea is for you not to see a whole lot of this, actually, because we don't want him coming out to visit. We also hope to keep him distracted enough that I can swap his water dish at the same time. So this is always a very tricky thing to do. It's much easier if I feed him a chick, because birds he'll hold on to once he strikes. Rats he'll strike and release, which means that he is available to go scooting around the cage whenever he likes. Hello. Down here, dumbass. Come on. Come on. I want you down here. Come on. Oh, one strike. And notice I closed the door right on the forceps so that Snoop can't get out. Alright, so now we'll wait for him to get involved with his food, and once he's got a mouthful, I'll swap his water dish. The plan has been for a couple of weeks, but I've been thwarted, is to pull him out, put him in a tub and clean his cage, because his cage is way overdue. Maybe that'll happen tomorrow.